The Frankfurt deal was finally done. After 6 hard days of talks, I had won the European expansion my boss wanted for 2 years. My body hurt from the 9-hour flight, but I felt proud as I drove my rental car toward my parents' house. My suitcase was in the trunk. I had promised Mom I would stop by before going to my apartment, because she would want to hear about my trip and probably give me homemade food. The sunset made the neighborhood glow in warm colors as I turned onto Maple Street. I parked in the driveway and saw that Dad had finally cut the tall bushes by the garage. Small victory. My black shoes hurt as I stepped out, fixing my gray skirt. My silk blouse was wrinkled from the flight, but I still looked like the senior financial analyst who had just made a big deal. I smiled as I took the garage remote from my purse. I had left my Challenger here while traveling, safer than at my apartment. I pressed the button. The door opened with a loud sound, but inside my car was gone. Empty, except for Dad's lawnmower and Mom's garden tools. No, I whispered as my stomach dropped. My hands went numb. The remote fell to the floor as I dropped my suitcase and ran to the house. This could not be real. Not my car. Not my Challenger. I ran into the kitchen. Mom, Dad, and my sister Kendra were sitting at the table, waiting like they were planning an intervention. The silence hit me first, then the guilt on their faces. Dad would not look at me. His rough hands pressed flat on the table. "Avery, honey," Mom said in her sweet voice she used when saying bad news. "Where's my car?" My throat burned. "It's just temporary, Av," Kendra said quickly, acting confident. "I'll pay it all back." "Pay what back?" My voice was sharp. "Where is my Challenger?" Mom looked at Dad. He kept staring down. "We had to make a hard choice, sweetie," Mom said. "Kendra needed money for her business, and we took it to Cornerstone Pond," Dad finally said, his voice rough. "We got $45,000 for it. The world spun." "You did what with my car?" "It's only a loan against the car, not a sale," Kendra added fast. "Once my cosmetics line launches, I'll pay it back with interest. You'll get your car back soon." I thought of the long nights I spent working at Bridgewater Capital, 70 hours a week for 6 years. No vacations. No better apartment. Saving everything. I remembered Grandpa teaching me about engines when I was 9. "These cars aren't just machines, Avery girl. They're dreams you can touch," he had said. "Someday you'll have your own beauty. Be patient." The day I bought my Challenger, I cried, not just because of the shiny paint or the strong engine, but because it proved my sacrifices mattered. "My cosmetics startup is revolutionary," Kendra was saying. "I've made a formula that—" "I don't care if you found the fountain of youth," I cut her off. "That car wasn't yours to take." "Avery, family helps family," Mom said firmly. "You make good money. Kendra needs this chance." "So you used my spare key and my title?" I asked. The betrayal cut deep. "That's fraud," Dad flinched. "We're your parents," Mom argued. "We've always supported both our girls equally." A bitter laugh escaped me. "Equally? You call this equal?" My phone buzzed. I looked at the screen. A message from my insurance company. A lien had been placed against my car. The fire in my veins turned to ice. This wasn't just about money. It wasn't even just about my dream car. It was about respect. Something my family had never given me. "You have 30 days, I said, my voice calmer than I felt. 30 days to get my car back, or I will call the police for fraud and theft." "Charges?" Mom gasped. "Against your own family? Family doesn't steal from each other." I turned toward the door. 30 days. Their shocked faces followed me as I walked out. I slammed the door so hard that the family photos on the wall shook. Smiling faces in those photos suddenly looked like lies, hiding the truth that in this family, my dreams never mattered. The pawn shop smelled of cheap air freshener and hopelessness. I straightened my blazer, trying to look strong, not like a woman whose life was falling apart. In a dusty glass case, I saw my reflection. Mascara stains marked my cheeks. "Miss Martin," the pawnbroker said, sliding papers toward me. His name tag read Gordon. His voice was flat, the kind of tone used by people who see financial disasters every day. "Your car was brought in 5 days ago. Loan amount, $45,000 plus fees." I looked at the papers. $3,000 in fees? That's almost criminal. "Classic car market is risky," Gordon said calmly. "We take risks. If the loan isn't repaid, after 35 days we auction the car. He tapped the fine print. Full payment is due by October 3rd, $48,000 total. My stomach nodded as I turned the page. There it was, my signature. Except it wasn't mine. The fake looked close, but it missed the little upward curve I always put on the last N. This isn't my signature, I said firmly. Gordon's face changed slightly. Ma'am, if you're suggesting fraud, I'm not suggesting. I'm stating. I pulled out my driver's license and a recent work contract. Compare the signatures. He studied them, looking uneasy. I'll need to speak with my manager. Please do, I said. And check the security footage from when this deal happened. I was in Frankfurt, Germany. 20 minutes later, the manager joined us. The truth hit me like stone. My parents had committed fraud. Real fraud, the kind that could send them to jail. We can call the police right now, the manager said. The word police made my throat tighten. I need time to think. Back at my apartment, I dropped onto the couch, still wearing my coat. On the coffee table sat a family photo album I hadn't touched in years. I opened it with trembling hands. Kendra's 16th birthday, a big garden party, 40 guests, a professional photographer, and a cake taller than her. I turned the page. Nothing for my 16th birthday. I had spent that day working at the mall, saving money for college applications, Kendra's high school graduation. Dad rented a limousine. My college graduation, empty seats where my parents should have been. They said their flight was canceled, though the weather was clear. But they made it to Kendra's dance recital the next day. Christmas 2018. Kendra stood next to a shiny red Volkswagen with a giant bow. I sat nearby holding a sweater from the department store, smiling a tight smile that didn't reach my eyes. Page after page showed the same story. Not small favoritism, not mistakes, but years of my dreams being ignored, while Kendra's were always celebrated. All my sacrifices had only lifted Kendra higher. My phone rang, making me jump. Uncle Harvey's name lit the screen. I just heard, he said without saying hello. Your mother called, trying to twist the story. And how are they twisting it? I asked, suddenly tired. That you're overreacting. That family helps family. His angry snort was loud. This isn't right, and you know it. I do know, I whispered, tears burning again. I just never thought they'd go this far. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know yet. After we hung up, Aunt Patricia called. Dad's sister, always the peacemaker. They were just trying to help Kendra, she begged. Gerald feels awful. Can't you show compassion? The doorbell saved me from answering. Jessica from work stood there with a bag from our favorite Thai place. I brought dinner, she said, noticing my red eyes. You look awful. I laughed for the first time in days. Thanks for being honest. Over spicy noodles, I told her everything. Her anger felt like relief. Someone finally understood. You realize this is a crime, right? She asked, filling my wine glass. They stole your car. I know. If anyone else had done this. But it wasn't anyone else. I cut her off. It was my family. That makes it worse, not better, Jessica said softly. What does your boss say? She asked. That family can cut deeper than anyone. I told her how I had broken down in his office, something I had never done in 6 years at Bridgewater. He gave me space to deal with it. The next morning I texted Kendra. Coffee, noon, the cafe near your apartment. Just us. She was already there when I arrived, hiding behind sunglasses even though it was cloudy. The bold confidence she had in the kitchen was gone. Let me see the business plan, I said, sitting down. What? She blinked. The business plan. Financial numbers. Marketing strategy. Documents a real startup should have before asking for money. She twisted her coffee cup. It's more creative than that. Businesses like mine are— Stop! I cut her off. Show me what you do have. She pulled papers from her bag. A mood board of makeup looks, a list of possible product names, and rough sketches of packaging. No supplier contracts, no formulas, no financial plans. This is it. My voice dropped. This is what you stole my car for? I just needed a chance, she whispered, lip trembling. A chance to prove myself like you did. Everyone always says you're successful, responsible, that I should be more like you. I earned my chance, I said slowly. I didn't steal someone else's dream. Her shoulders sagged. I thought once the business grew I could pay you back with interest. Make everyone proud. And now? I asked. The first shipment arrived yesterday, she said, removing her sunglasses. Her eyes were swollen. Half the containers broke. Customers are complaining online. The formula separates after a few hours. Her voice cracked. Everything's falling apart. My phone buzzed. A text from Kendra. I looked at her, then back at my screen. I need more money to fix this. Just a little more. Please, Avery, I'm desperate. She watched me read it, her face begging. I set the phone face down. Not a penny more, I said. You fix this or we all lose. Her face crumpled. I don't know how. For a dangerous moment, I felt the old pull. The family expectation that I would fix everything. Then I remembered my empty garage and the forged signature. You'd better figure it out fast, I said, standing up. The clock is ticking. 10 days after the garage shock, Kendra's business is destroyed. I track her failure while trying to focus on my own work, each bad update hitting my phone like a clock. Day 3. Suppliers refuse more shipments after payments bounce. Day 5. Angry customers demand refunds on social media. Day 7. The bank freezes her business account. Day 10. Kendra locks herself in her apartment, ignoring calls. I sit at my desk at Bridgewater Capital, staring at the Frankfurt deal papers until the words blur. 6 months of work now feels at risk because I can't focus. My thoughts circle back to the empty garage where my challenger should be. The phone on my desk rings. It's my boss, Director Palmer. Avery, I need those final projections by 4, he says. His voice carries concern. You look exhausted. Everything okay at home? I force a smile into my voice. Everything's fine. You'll have the projections within the hour. But the lie burns. Nothing is fine. My family betrayed me. Kendra's business is collapsing, and my career might too if I can't push it aside. Sunday comes. I park my rental car on the curb outside my parents' house instead of in the driveway. A small rebellion. The smell of Mom's pot roast, her peace offering, greets me as I walk in. Dad sits at the table, shoulders heavy with shame. Mom sets out the good china, the kind saved for Christmas or trouble. Kendra arrives late. Sunglasses hide her swollen eyes, her usual confident walk replaced by something slower. Let's eat while it's hot, Mom says, serving Dad first as always. We eat in silence, broken only by the scrape of forks. I cut my meat into neat squares, focusing on the sound of knife on plate to stop myself from shouting. Mom speaks first. Kendra's having a hard time with her business. She pats Kendra's hand. Everyone fails sometimes. I put down my fork. This isn't about failure. It's about theft, Dad finally speaks, voice quiet. We thought we were helping. His rough hands tremble as he lifts his glass. We wanted Kendra to have her chance. At my expense? I snap. You didn't just take a car. You took everything it stood for. Kendra flinches. Honey, it's just a vehicle, Mom starts. It was 6 years of overtime and missed vacations. It was Grandpa's legacy. It was proof that my sacrifices meant something, and you took it without a thought. My voice stays calm, though pain rages inside me. The doorbell rings. Mom looks relieved at the break until Dad returns, with Uncle Harvey. His broad shoulders and angry face fill the doorway. What the hell were you thinking, Gerald? Harvey demands. His eyes meet mine. Avery called me. Mom stiffens. This is a family matter, Harvey. Exactly why I'm here, he says, pulling out the chair next to me. Someone needs to stand up for the family member you're betraying. Dad's face reddens. Now wait just a minute. No, you wait, Harvey cuts in. I reach for my briefcase. The leather feels cold as I pull out the folder I prepared. I spread 3 printouts across the table. The car's title, fraud laws, pawnshop rules, and sentencing guidelines. The papers land like explosives. This is a felony, I say, tapping the first document. I could send you both to jail. Mom's face turns pale. You wouldn't. I don't want to. The truth shocks me. Even after everything, I don't want to destroy them. But you need to understand what you've done. Dad stares at the papers, really reading them this time. Prison time? 2 to 5 years for title fraud, I say flatly. plus paying the money back. Mom breaks into rough, ugly sobs, real ones, not the fake tears she uses to end arguments. Dad holds her hand, his own eyes wet. What have we done to you, to us? For the first time since this began, I see real remorse on his face, not just regret for being caught, but real understanding of the pain they caused. Kendra removes her sunglasses, showing her red eyes. This is my fault, she whispers. I pushed them to do it. I knew you'd never agree. So I told them it was temporary, that you'd understand once my business took off. She stares at her manicured hands. I never thought it would fail so fast. Uncle Harvey leans forward. So what's the plan? The pawn shop won't wait forever. 25 days, I confirm. Then they auction the car. Mom wipes her eyes. What can we do? I pull out my calculator. We need to see what resources we have. For the next hour, we go over options. Dad thinks they can take out a home equity loan for $30,000, but it will take 2 weeks to process. Kendra agrees to sell her BMW and drain her savings, maybe $12,000. I promise $6,000 from my emergency fund. Uncle Harvey watches silently, then says, I can loan you $5,000, but only because Avery shouldn't have to pay for this mess. The math is harsh. Even with all of it, it'll take 15 days to gather the full amount, and the pawn shop wants $15,000 right away to stop the auction. I'll call them tomorrow, Dad says, his voice more solid. See if they'll give us time. When I leave, the weight in my chest is still there, but something has shifted. The betrayal remains, but now there's a narrow path forward. Hard, uncertain, but possible. Back at my apartment, I sit on my bed holding a framed photo. Grandpa stands beside a shiny black Challenger, his arm around me at 12 years old. The summer light shines on the chrome bumper and his smiling eyes. Cars are just metal and chrome, Avery girl, he once told me. It's what they represent that matters. In the quiet of my apartment, I finally understand. This fight isn't just about a car. It's about respect. It's about making my family see that my dreams matter just as much as Kendra's. I call my parents. Dad answers right away. I'll help, I say, my voice steady. But things will never be the same. Silence stretches across the line, heavy with everything we can't undo. I know, he says at last. We'll make this right, Avery. I promise. I hang up without saying goodbye. Some promises come too late to comfort, but I'll take action over words. Tomorrow, we begin the fight to take back what's mine. Not just my car, but my place in this family. Meanwhile, Kendra stands in a boutique, staring at her reflection in the mirror. She touches her Hermes scarf, once her pride, now laid out on the counter with the rest of her collection for sale. The shop owner inspects each piece through thin glasses, lips pursed in calculation. I can give you $8,000 for everything, the shop owner says without looking up. Kendra swallows hard. The collection had cost her over $15,000, but the pawn shop's deadline matters more than pride. Done, she whispers, watching the woman write the check. Across town, Dad limps into the warehouse manager's office, arthritis burning in his knees. Night shift? The manager asks, eyebrows raised. Gerald, you haven't worked nights in 20 years. Dad lowers himself into the chair. Just for now. I need the extra pay. The manager studies the dark circles under Dad's eyes. This about that car situation your brother mentioned? Dad nods once, his jaw tight. Family business. Starting Monday then. The manager slides paperwork across. Hope it's worth it. At home, Mom wraps Grandma's silver candlesticks in tissue paper, her hands shaking. They had survived the Great Depression, been part of 50 years of celebrations. She adds them to a box with the pearl necklace Dad gave her for their 25th anniversary. Fletcher's pawn shop barely glances at the treasures before offering $3,000, just enough to cover next week's interest payment. My own sacrifices come as lost sleep and skipped meals. The Frankfurt expansion takes constant attention, but I'm taking extra accounts too, chasing the performance bonus that now means the difference between saving my car or losing it. On my desk sits the receipt from Cornerstone Pawn, proof that our $15,000 deposit delayed the auction. A small victory, overshadowed by the bank's latest letter, the home loan approval delayed for more property checks. They're making real progress, Jessica says over takeout in my cubicle. I glance up from spreadsheets. Your sister called me. She called you? She wanted to know if the finance group was hiring entry level. Jessica twirls her noodles. I was shocked. Later that week, I spot Kendra at the mall food court. She looks almost like a stranger. Black slacks, plain white shirt, no designer brands, no flashy jewelry. She shifts nervously outside Nordstrom's employee entrance, her first day. That night, my phone rings. Her voice is smaller than ever. I had no idea. She stumbles, 8 hours on my feet, smiling at people who treat me like furniture. And you've been working 70-hour weeks for years. I lean against my counter, lost for words. All those times I called you boring for canceling plans, she continues. You weren't boring. You were responsible. 3 days later, we meet at a coffee shop halfway between our apartments. Kendra orders plain coffee instead of her usual complicated drink. Her makeup is light, her nails short and bare. I was entitled and selfish, she says right away. I'm sorry, Avery. Not just for the car. For everything. I hold my mug, the warmth soaking into my palms. Pretty words, Ken. I know. She nods firmly. Actions speak louder. I'm trying to show you now. At my parents' house, Dad spreads bank statements across the kitchen table. The bright light makes every line in his face stand out. He squints, adding numbers again and again, but they don't balance. Gerald? Mom calls from the study, holding a stack of papers. Did you know about these? She sets down loan applications, all in Kendra's flowing handwriting. Credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later accounts. Almost $80,000, Mom whispers. We had no idea. The next morning, they sit across from Mr. Winters at the credit union, their trusted advisor for 20 years. This home loan will delay your retirement by at least 5 years, he says gently. And that's only if no new surprises come up. Mom stares down at her hands, her wedding ring loose on her thinner finger. When I stop by to drop off my share of the payment, Dad meets me on the porch. For once, Mom isn't there with excuses. We failed you, he says, voice rough with emotion. Long before we took your car. I sit beside him, the old wood creaking. All those years we praised Kendra's dreams and ignored yours, he admits. His calloused hands twist together. You never asked for much, so we thought you didn't need much. We sit in silence as the Sunday sky turns golden. Then the home loan finally comes through, but with a 3-day wait. Relief turns to panic when Cornerstone Pawn calls. Another buyer wants the Challenger, offering cash. We just need 2 more days, Dad begs. Business is business, the pawnbroker replies. First money gets the car. The next 36 hours blur into frantic calls and desperate math. Kendra empties her savings. Mom sells her diamond earrings. I max out my emergency credit line. Still, we're $3,000 short. It's not enough, Mom whispers as we sit around the kitchen table. The deadline is tomorrow at noon. The doorbell rings. Uncle Harvey stands there, checkbook in hand. Family helps family, he says. Mom's old words, but with new meaning. The next morning, we crowd into the bank, watching the clock tick toward noon as the manager processes the transfer. Dad's hand trembles as he signs. At 11:42, the confirmation flashes. Payment received. For the first time in weeks, we breathe. Early sun glints on the chrome of my Challenger as I stand outside Cornerstone Pawn, clutching the receipt. 30 days of family sacrifices, arguments, and tears, and we've scraped together $48,000. Inside, the pawnbroker raises his eyebrows. Miss Martin, he says, sliding papers over. Here for your vehicle. I nod, unable to speak. My hand shakes as I sign the forms. He counts the check twice, then hands me the title and keys. I nearly drop them. The cold metal in my palm feels unreal, like a dream I thought I'd lost. Outside, I run my fingers along the glossy black paint, checking for scratches. The chrome flashes in the sunlight. They detailed it yesterday, the broker says. Policy before return. I don't answer. This moment should feel like victory. Instead, it feels empty. Grandpa's voice echoes in my mind. Cars are just metal and chrome. It's what they represent that matters. What does mine represent now? Not only my hard work and sacrifice, but also the truth that my family once treated my dream as worthless. The engine growls to life. Tears stream down my face as I drive away. Each mile loosens another piece of pain. By the time I reach my apartment, my cheeks are soaked, mascara streaking, but my car is home. 3 days later, my phone buzzes. A text from Mom. Sunday dinner? 5 p.m. Your father's grilling steaks. Quiddite. The invitation lands heavy. I think of saying no, but type back, I'll be there. Some talks can't happen by text. Sunday comes with perfect spring weather. The Challenger's roar announces me before I even reach the driveway. Dad freezes mid-flip at the grill. Mom rings a dish towel in the doorway. Dinner is tense, filled only with passing potatoes and small talk about the weather. Kendra picks at her food, eyes down. No one dares mention the giant elephant sitting at the table with us. At dinner, Dad clears his throat and carefully sets down his fork. Avery, he begins, his voice stiff like a stranger's. I've prepared something to say. He pulls a folded paper from his pocket, his hands shaking. I betrayed your trust. I violated your rights. I failed as your father to protect what matters to you. Each line sounds rehearsed, but sincere. His eyes flick between the paper and my face. Mom reaches across the table, tears falling. Please forgive us, sweetheart. We were wrong. So terribly wrong. Kendra straightens in her chair. I've been working at Macy's for 3 weeks now, she says, pulling out a small notebook. I made a budget plan to pay back my share. It'll take time, but I'll return every penny. They all watch me, faces tense with hope and fear. Healing takes time, I say at last, setting my napkin down. Trust doesn't come back overnight. Relief washes through the room, but no one smiles. They understand this isn't forgiveness, just the start of trying. 2 days later, I sit across from Rachel Holman, the lawyer whose card I've carried for weeks. You have a strong case for charges, she says, glasses perched on her nose as she reviews my documents. Title fraud, identity theft. Your parents could face prison. I glance at the family photo on her desk. 3 generations smiling in matching sweaters. What are my other options? Rachel leans back. A formal repayment agreement. Legally binding, but no criminal record. The next Sunday, we gather again at the dining room table. Uncle Harvey sits beside me, steady as stone, as my parents and Kendra sign the contracts. Monthly payments for 2 years, I explain, my voice steady. With interest. Dad's hand shakes as he signs, but this time he meets my eyes. We'll honor this, Avery, every term. The shift in power is clear. For the first time, my boundaries are not ignored. They're written in ink, enforceable by law. I never wanted this kind of authority over you, I admit to Harvey later as he walks me to my car. Sometimes respect has to be enforced before it can be freely given, he says, squeezing my shoulder. At the family reunion a month later, Aunt Patricia corners me by the potato salad, wine glass tilting. Everyone makes mistakes, dear. You've made your point. Time to let it go. Uncle Harvey appears beside me, solid as ever. They need to own what they did, Patricia. No minimizing. The yard falls quiet as Kendra steps forward, voice trembling but clear. I manipulated my parents, she says. I used their favoritism. But they chose to betray Avery. We're all responsible. Aunt Patricia's mouth opens and shuts like a fish. Cousin Mike nods at me with respect. Something shifts in the family. The truth finally breaking old patterns of excuses. Later that week, I change the garage code at my parents' house. I install a new security system in the Challenger, the small black box blinking under the dashboard. Will you leave us a spare key? Mom asks softly as I pack up. Just in case of emergency? I meet her eyes until she understands. No, I say simply. I won't. She nods, lips tight but accepting. No further explanation is needed. Some boundaries are best left unspoken. The road ahead curves like an open hand. I downshift, feeling the Challenger answer with a rumble that travels into my bones. The Colorado Rockies rise around me, glowing gold in the morning light. 1 year after almost losing her, driving still feels like coming home. You were right, Grandpa, I whisper, patting the dashboard. The black paint shines in the sun, every reflection reminding me of what I fought to keep. With the windows down and the mountain air rushing through my hair, I can finally enjoy this dream without betrayal hanging over me. My shoulders no longer sit tight with stress. The knot in my back that lasted for months is gone. I think of last week's dinner at my parents' house. Before I left, Dad showed me the small garage addition he had built. A locked, secure space with its own alarm system. "Your car's always safe here now," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Only you have the code." Mom has learned to ask first now. Small things like, "Would you mind if I borrow your jacket?" The questions may seem little, but to me, they are victories. Signs that my belongings are finally respected. Kendra sends me $300 each month. It's not much compared to what she owes, but the consistency means more than the money. Her apartment is tiny, her clothes simple. Last month, she showed me her new budget spreadsheet, her pride clear. "I'm learning what you already knew," she admitted. Earning something feels different than being handed it. A sharp curve appears. I ease off the gas, then accelerate through the turn. The engine sings beneath me. "Last weekend, Uncle Harvey rode with me." He patted the dashboard. "Your grandfather would be proud," he said. "Not just of the car, but of the woman you've become." I pull into a mountain overlook. Below, the valley stretches forever, green trees spilling toward distant peaks. I turn off the engine and sit in the quiet, remembering the day I placed flowers at Grandpa's grave with a photo of me in the Challenger. "I understand now," I'd told him. "Some dreams cost more than money. Tomorrow, I meet with the finance class I volunteer for. 20 young women learning what I never was taught. How to protect what matters. How to set boundaries. How to know when giving becomes harmful." Last month, a girl named Melissa stayed after class, admiring the Challenger. "My dad used to work on old cars," she said. "Before the divorce, my mom sold his tools to pay for my sister's dance lessons." I let her sit behind the wheel, watching her eyes light up with hope. "Dreams need protecting," I told her, repeating Grandpa's words but with new meaning. "And so do you." The sun warms my face as I start the engine again. The road curves ahead, full of possibilities without guilt or pressure. Setting boundaries cost me the illusion of a perfect family, but gave me something better. Real relationships built on respect. I accelerate onto the mountain road, windows down, the future opening before me like a perfect stretch of highway. For the first time since I was 9, watching Grandpa's hands on a stranger's car, I am truly living my dream.